while I'm sure you spent your Thanksgiving enjoying your family, enjoying some food, hopefully enjoying some football, Donald Trump is not like you and I. He is not a normal person. He is constantly consumed with grievance and anger and always lashing out no matter what. And that is why yesterday he did not just simply enjoy his time with his family, which I don't think his family really enjoys their time with him. He was focused on being on Twitter and attacking people because that's all he can ever do. Always full of anger, always full of vengeance. And so Donald Trump melted down on Twitter in an angry attack that we are going to get into. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way and it really means the world to me. Now, like I said, Donald Trump was lashing out and losing his mind on Thanksgiving, but of course, a couple of days before that, he was also attacking Mexico, Canada, and China with some tariffs that are ultimately only going to impact working Americans. And so before we get into Donald Trump's Thanksgiving meltdown, I think we should hear a little bit of a response from Jasmine Crockett to those Trump tariffs right here.
Yeah, my only hope is that we can rid ourselves of Donald Trump half as quickly as the UK got rid of their failed leadership. That is the only hope that I could have, but something tells me that he will stick around for the entire 4 years. But you're absolutely right. And as someone who serves on the Agriculture Committee, one of the things that we saw is that our soybean farmers specifically suffered so much under these tariffs last time, and it wasn't as widespread as what he's proposing this time. The fact that we have Americans that are waking up and saying, wait a minute, are you saying that tariffs are going to negatively impact me? Are you saying that we're going to have to pay for this? It's kind of like that wall that we're still waiting on Mexico to build, right? That they're going to pay for it. No, we're going to pay for it. We're going to be the ones that are suffering. And for those that thought that inflation was bad, even though it has come down, even though that it is honestly, cooled off here a lot quicker than it cooled off in the rest of the world, let me just tell you, it's time to buckle up, Buttercup, because it is about to be on and popping if for some reason he gets half of this done. And right now, looking at the henchmen that he is trying to put into his administration, we are on track to see a lot of these negative things impact our economy.
Now, in a weird way, I would say the best case scenario probably for the country and also weirdly politically for Trump would be to basically just not do it and say he did, the kind of like sort of just lie about it, essentially. And I do think there's some indications of that. So he just posted about Claudia Sheinbaum, who's, of course, the new president of Mexico. He says he had a wonderful conversation. She agreed to stop migration through Mexico and into the United States, effectively closing our southern border. I should note, this has basically already happened. It's been happening for about 8 months now. Border crossings have been near zero, right? They've essentially zeroed out. We also talked about what to be done to stop the massive drug inflow of the U.S. Very productive conversation. Again, no one knows. This was so weird about these. He says, I'm going to do this massively destructive thing. Basically, everyone on Wall Street and the Republican Party is like, he won't. And now we just sort of find out, like, will he, won't he? Will he do it for a few days and not? That's sort of where we are.
Yeah, no, like I said, I mean, he instituted tariffs not as deeply as what he's proposing this time, but he did do it last time. And so I don't see why he would necessarily change course, because according to him, the people definitely wanted his type of economics back, not actually realizing that it was Obama's economics. And I will point out, just like you said, when the Mexican president responded to him, what she said was, listen, this is not only going to cause you a problem as it relates to trade, because, two can play that game, but this is also going to cause you an issue as it relates to immigration. And she was highlighting basically that she has been working in a cooperative way to make sure that we could stop some of those crossings at the southern border.
Now, I want to check out the rest of that clip in just a bit, but before we do, of course, we have to get into this Trump meltdown. The tariffs are more serious and more important, but we just have to point out how ridiculous this person is, because I want to talk about something very specific when we do. So let's get into this Trump tweet. Happy Thanksgiving to all, including to the radical left lunatics who have worked so hard to destroy our country, but who have miserably failed and will always fail because their ideas and policies are so hopelessly bad that the great people of our nation just gave a landslide victory to those who want to make America great again. Don't worry, our country will soon be respected, productive, fair, and strong, and you will be, more than ever before, proud to be an American. Now, I know that's a ridiculous post, and you might be saying, Jack, why do we need to care about this? For two reasons. The The first being Donald Trump and MAGA Republicans continue to say that he won in some huge, overwhelming mandate, such a landslide, when it was really one of the most historically small popular vote victories in history. And another small popular vote victory is when Donald Trump lost the popular vote in 2016. Let's remember that. Just because he won it this time, just because he won it by 1.2%, he didn't even get a majority. It wasn't even 50%. Does not mean that Donald Trump has this overwhelming mandate to put whoever he wants in his cabinet and act with impunity. That's just wrong. And we need to continue to say that's wrong every single day, so they don't think that they can act with free reign however they want because everyone wanted them to do so. That's not true. The second important thing that I think we need to take out of that tweet is this idea that for so long people criticized President Biden and really Democrats at large for being divisive. They divided the country. I don't know how, but that was always the accusation. And that's always what the accusation is going to be. Even when Donald Trump on Thanksgiving is tweeting and calling us losers for having voted against fascism, yeah, he's not being divisive. Republicans will always give us that label. So now more than ever, with the threat of Donald Trump in the White House actually being realized, we need to stop caring about norms and institutions and civility because it's never actually going to matter. We have to fight back in whatever way possible because our country is at stake. Let's not worry about the labels that they're going to throw at us. Let's just worry about getting the work done and pushing back. And of course, that starts with tariffs. So let's get back into what Jasmine Crockett had to say.
And considering the fact that this was supposedly one of the top issues for the American voters, and you're talking about a guy who is threatening to incarcerate people, you're talking about a guy that is talking about, looking at migrants and, I don't know what type of parameters, if any, he's going to have other than get rid of people that don't look like they belong here. Like, I don't really understand. But when we're starting to talk about something that, number one, is going to impact real lives, whether we're talking about incarcerating them, whether we're talking about putting them into these camps that they're talking about, whether we're talking about the fact that literally this is yet another negative impact that we need to brace for as it relates to our economy, this is someone that should not be given this amount of power and is not then having to go through the rigorous, situation that anyone else would have to go through if they want to be in the cabinet. And I think that the Senate should have to confirm him, which means that hopefully we would get an FBI background check on him as well.
In terms of, obviously, the Senate is who confirms nominees. The House plays no role in that. But the House, we're getting near what the final numbers are going to be. We're going to talk about that in just the next block. But it's going to be a very narrow majority, narrower than it was, it looks like. And I as a member of the House, I guess it's not fun to be in the minority, but this last House majority was so wildly dysfunctional with a very thin margin. Are you expecting anything different this time around?
No. It is the one thing that I've been telling people, listen, the one thing we can count on is that, number one, they can't count. And number two, the fact that they don't get along with one another. So those are the things that we are holding close to the chest. I'm really excited about Derek Tran. And we are watching another race in California right now. And he is pulled ahead as well, Adam Gray. So we're hoping that we actually end up having more members of the House this 119th than we actually had in this 118th. So we're currently on track to have 214, which is the exact same number that we had throughout the 118th. And if we can pick up this last seat with Mr. Gray, then we'll be looking at having 215. And we know that Donald Trump has plucked out a number of members already, which means that, we may get as close as 217 to 215 if everything kind of works out, which is something that they have never had to endure in the 118th.
Yeah, this is just an unhinged lunatic. This person has completely lost his mind. Of course, we know that, and it's really disappointing that Americans don't know that. I don't want people to be hurt by these tariffs. I don't want anyone to have to learn their lesson by losing thousands of dollars of spending power to Donald Trump, because I don't know if American consumers actually will learn their lesson. If they didn't learn their lesson about what a disaster Donald Trump was during COVID or on January 6th, I'm unsure if they can learn that lesson. But maybe I don't want it to happen that way. I want the Democratic agenda to be so progressive, so powerful, and so impactful in people's lives that they want to vote for Democrats, not just against crazy Republicans. But that means talking about the ways in which Donald Trump's policies impact them. And President Biden did that right here, calling out Trump.
I think it's a counterproductive thing to do. You know, look, one of the things you've heard me say before that we have an unusual situation in America. We're surrounded by the Pacific Ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, and 2 allies, Mexico and Canada. And the last thing we need to do is begin to screw up those relationships.
Yes, I agree. I really hope he rethinks the policy. I hope it doesn't happen. I'm not one of these people who hopes Trump destroys the country so people, like I said, will learn some lesson, because I don't know if that's actually going to happen. And I don't want to see pain inflicted on my neighbors. That's why I voted for Kamala Harris. And so, I don't know. We don't want bad things to happen, but when they do, and they inevitably will, because Donald Trump will be president, we have to point them out. We have to call them out, and we have to talk about them everywhere, on every podcast, on every news station, to every person we possibly can. We have to rethink, rework, and re-implement a new messaging strategy. And we're going to be doing that on the show every single day. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button. You can leave a like on this video. And if you stuck around to the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.